Alrighty, welcome back to the channel, guys. Here at Stripped Heads Rounded Threads. Today, we are going to be working on the 1996 Jeep Cherokee XJ. So, in the last time you guys probably seen this, I went ahead and put these new 30 by 950 15 tires on here and ran into the problem that on this side it was making contact with the fender. And as you can see, I dented the fender in a little bit just trying to get this thing out of the garage here. I even took the stock fender flares off to help with the clearance. So what I could have done cheaply was just, cut the fender out, but I didn't want to do that. Then it needed new suspension work anyways. So I went ahead and ordered a 3-inch advanced lift kit from Rusty's Off-Road with the heavy-duty front coil springs. I did source a lot of other parts from other companies as well, because I really wanted to go ahead and do this the proper way, in my opinion. So I'll give you guys a quick rundown of everything that I got, and then it'll be working on the front end of this beast first, and then that way I can actually be able to turn it without any clearance issues, and then we can go ahead and tackle the rear. So without any further ado, I'm going to give you guys a quick parts summary, and then I'll hook you guys back up whenever I start working on the Jeep. So starting off over here, I got a lot of this stuff off of Quadratech. They were able to hook me up pretty well, so shout out to those guys. But I got a set of Crown Automotive extended stainless steel braided brake lines, front and rear. These are for, I believe, 3 to 4 inch lift. I have JKS bar pin illuminators for the front and rear shocks, because I didn't want to have to deal with the bar pins anymore, and this to me would be a lot more proper. In case I run into a problem with the rear, I have a set of rear bar pin flags for the nuts, because the rear shock bolts, the upper bolts, they tend to snap off. So I figured if I was prepared and had the set, I wouldn't have to use them and everything would go well. Up here I have some new like rubber polyurethane Daystar coil spring isolators for the front, because to be honest, I don't really know the condition of the factory ones, but I'm sure that they are ready to be replaced. Down here I have greasable leaf spring shackles. These are from Rusty's Off-Road. I had to order them separately, but these things are pretty beefy. I also have a set of Daystar bump stops for the up front, for the front axle, because mine are gone on this Jeep. So, and let's see here. I did not want to do disconnecting sway bar links as of right now. So for about 30 bucks on Amazon, I got a set of rear Ford F-250 Super Duty sway bar links. And I read somewhere online that these should be about the proper length if you're doing a 3-inch lift on the front end of a XJ. So I'm going to go ahead and try these out. So yeah, that's going to be something. I have new rear bump stops for the rear of the Jeep. I also got these from Quadratech, because the factory ones are gone. New 8 1/4 leaf spring U-bolts. Rusty's Off-Road supplied this with their kit. The new rear leaf springs for the Jeep as well. These are for the 3-inch lift kit as well. Went ahead and also got the adjustable track bar from Rusty's Off-Road. This is for 2.75 to 5 inches of lift. Front and rear shocks from Rusty's Off-Road. I know some people have complained about them for not being the greatest, but I'm going to try them out. I do know that you're going to have to massage these before you use them. As you can see that they're shipped completely retracted, so you're gonna have to extend them and, you know, work the shock a couple times. But they all came with these nice polyurethane bushings with the sleeves and some stickers. This is the bar pin, but I'm not going to be using this. The other main reason why I wanted to go with this lift as well was because it came with control arms, but I didn't need any that were the flexible or anything like that because I don't off-road daily. You know, I just wanted something proper for on-road use. So these are the lower control arms. Man, they are solid. And here's the upper ones, and they're pretty nice as well. And over here we have the new coil springs. These are the heavy duty option because I do plan on maybe putting a winch bumper up front, or who knows, you know, I like having a stiffer, firmer ride anyways, so went ahead and got those. And even though I'm only doing 3 inches, driveline vibrations really should not be an issue, but I also did not want to do a SYE at this time because I felt as if it would be unnecessary. So also from Rusty's Off-Road, I got their 1-inch transfer case drop bracket, and that thing is heavy. I mean, like, I'm saying, like, that thing's probably like 55-60 pounds, and it is beefy. Because whenever I did the full service on my XJ not too long ago, I did you know, oil change, front and rear differential fluid change, transfer case fluid change, and transmission fluid filter and oil. I had to drop the transfer case brace off the Jeep, and the factory one is just really flimsy. I mean, if it weighed 5 pounds, I'd be surprised. So with everything going into this lift and increasing the ride height of the vehicle, I want to make sure it was going to stay nice and firm underneath. So that was another reason why I went ahead and ordered that. But this is going to be just a quick segment, guys. Like I said, we're going to be installing this lift here on the front. This is probably going to be a multiple part. Alrighty, guys. Going to give you a rundown on what all I've done so far. I went ahead and started on the passenger side, and that entailed with taking off the tire, the shock absorber, and I already have the lower control arm disconnected from the vehicle. And I know you're not supposed to hang your calipers, but I have new hoses, so I'm not worried about it as of right now anyways. I did take out the bolt for the track bar, so it's just hanging down there. I did take the nut off for the sway bar link, and also the keeper back here for the coil spring retainer. Everything came out without a problem. So what I'm gonna have to do now is go over to the driver's side and do the same. With the upper shock bolt on this, it's 14 millimeter on my case, but there's a bolt, or yeah, a little bolt that holds this up to the reservoir tank. I had to take it out so I could get clearance done in there. And over here on the driver's side, if you have like a ratcheting wrench, or I was able to use my flex head 3/8 ratchet with a socket on there. I was able to sneak it down in there underneath the master cylinder, take that out. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and take this tire off, and we're gonna start disassembling suspension components on this side. Ready? Hope you guys don't mind the noise of the turbo heater for right now, but let's go ahead and take this tire off. Alrighty, so now that I have the tire off, I'm gonna go ahead and take this nut off up here for the sway bar link, and I'm gonna take the brake caliper off, which it's 10 millimeter for both sides of it. And I already took the upper bolt out of the shock, so all I have to do is take out the bottom ones down here for now. So let's go ahead and get to it, guys. last bolt. Alrighty, so I was able to get the lower control arm out on the driver's side and also disconnected the sway bar link. So now essentially the only thing holding up the front end is my jack and the upper control arms, because the track bar is not hooked up right now. It's just out of the way. So now what I can do is try to work this coil spring out of here, and we'll go from there. So probably, maybe I'll have to jack up that side a little bit to give myself a little bit more droop. If not, I can always just disconnect this upper control arm right here above the center of the axle. But we'll see. All right, I'll tune back in with you guys in a minute. I was able to get the stock coil spring out on the driver's side. All I did was I put my foot down right here, pushed it a little bit, and then I was able to roll it out. And I also went ahead and removed the factory isolator. It's not in terrible shape, but as you can see, it's starting to deform itself a little bit. So when compared to the new one I have here, you can see that the thickness of the new one is a little bit more, but you know, it should do exactly what I need it to do here. So the factory one was pretty snug. I had to use a pry bar, so this one is not going to stay put as of right now until I get the coil spring in there, which is all right. I also have the new bump stop I'm going to put in. Probably going to put some like silicone lube on this, because there are little fingers in here. And I might have to use the jack and a block of wood to snap it up in there. But I'm going to show you guys the comparison between the factory coil spring and the aftermarket one. So here is the factory coil spring, and this is the Rusty's Off-Road heavy duty spring, and they're almost the same length. I'd say the Rusty's spring in this case is maybe 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch taller, but it is definitely thicker though. When comparing the coils, I know on camera it might not look that significant, but in person this is a lot thicker and it's a little bit more tighter wound. So it's going to be able to handle more absorption better than the factory ones. The factory ones will just, you know, they would just collapse closer, and this one, it's not going to want to try to budge as much. So that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and put the bump stop in, the isolator, and then this new coil spring on the driver's side. Alrighty, so I ended up having to get creative to get the damn bump stop to go up in there. So I have a jack stand, wood, and I'm also propping up this jack with my leg as well. But I had to take the handle off so I could pump some WD-40, and I don't know, 20 minutes of frustration later, I finally got it in. Hopefully whenever I go do the passenger side, I can get it done within just a couple of minutes, now that I have this freaking figured out. But yeah, be prepared to have fun if you're replacing the bump stops. Alrighty, let's see here. I got the upper control arm installed on the driver's side, and with the 3-inch kit, you're going to want to use the first hole closest to the flat spot of the plate there. This can get tricky up in here a little bit to get that bolt out, because it has like a flag bar on it. But I'll go ahead and show you on the passenger side. And what I've done to help everything out was, before I started the control arm on that side, I went ahead and supported this half of the axle with a jack stand, and I was able to manipulate everything over here with a regular jack. And also, here is the sway bar link from the F250. If I were to rotate the sway bar down, it'd line up pretty well with it. I just don't have the bushings on it. I just haven't attached any of that stuff yet until all the control arms were well situated. But for comparison, actually, size-wise, factory sway bar link has the blue bushings on it, and that's the extended length one. Essentially, I mean, if you were to reuse the factory sway bar link, that would really put a lot of strain on everything, and I'm not certain it'd go on very easily either, you know. I mean, it'd probably throw off your drag link angles and track bar as well, you know, due to just the extensive compression downwards on everything. So I definitely recommend not using the stock ones. I mean, if you have to, that's understandable, but I would suggest trying to do something different. But coming back over here to the passenger side, this is that bolt I was telling you about. You have just enough room to get at it. I mean, I was wearing slightly thick gloves, so maybe if I weren't, I wouldn't have had a problem. Or even having like a magnet just to pull it out, because you don't want to drop it down inside the frame there. But man, I love buying stuff that's not from Pennsylvania. I mean, this Jeep is 24 years old, and I mean, none of this stuff has been breaking so far. Let me knock on some wood. But yeah, to put this in, you know, it took me like 2 minutes. Had a piece of wood, jack stand with the jack, and I pressed it up in. But yeah, let's see here. Here's the new lower control arm, or upper control arm. And this is the old one right here. I mean, if this weighs 2 pounds, then it's a miracle. I mean, it's a light. This, on the other hand, it's like closer to 5 pounds. I mean, I'm sure that this is a hollow tube, but it's definitely a lot beefier than this, you know. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in, and I'll get back to you guys whenever I'm about ready to put the shocks in. Oh, and one more thing. You might have an easier time doing the, or at least loosening up these control arm bolts prior to putting the coil spring back in. Just depends on what type of tools you have and everything. They did have some really good Loctite on them, and I thought I was going to snap them, but they ended up coming free, so just be wary of that. Alrighty, so to wrap up on the driver's side, I've finally tightened down the shock absorber. I'm not a fan of the bushings. They look almost just way too small. I mean, I know that they're like a polyurethane bushing opposed to rubber, but I don't really like how they, well, they're almost the same size as the hole as well, so I'll probably be changing those out in the near future. But I did not put my extended brake lines on yet, simply because I can't get the one off on the passenger side. The head started to strip out on the steel line, and I don't really have the tools on me right now to repair if something were to break, or my needle nose pliers, like vice grips of that nature. So I'm going to hold off on doing the extended brake lines for now. Driver's side, everything came loose. I could put it on the driver's side, but I figured if I was going to do it, I'd like to just do them both at the same time. At this moment, I have yet to try the rear, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So here I have the sway bar link hooked up, and to me that looks pretty nice how it sits up. As of right now, it's not contacting the coil spring, but once I put the vehicle down on its own, we'll see if it makes any contact. New coil spring isolator. The new spring was able to reuse the original retainer, as you can see. I do have the JKS bar pin eliminator installed. On the passenger side, I'll go through how to install it with these types of shocks because there's a trick to it. But as you can see, I have the new Rusty's lower control arm installed and the upper as well. But that pretty much ties up everything over here on the driver's side. And I'm about ready to start wrapping things up over here on the passenger side. I have the new upper control arm installed. I gotta take the old sway bar link off the rest of the way, and install the new lower control arm, and then I can put the vehicle down, and do the shock absorber as well on this side. Then I'll be able to put the vehicle down on its weight, and I'll take the track bar off, and I'll put the new one on, because whenever you do track bar, it's kind of easier to do it while the vehicle is on the ground, or at least to tighten it up. I'll see. So, alrighty. So, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and slide it in. Now that that's fastened down there, it's not going to go anywhere. I am going to go back through and retorque everything once I'm done. But as you can see, it's pretty nice to use. This right here would have been a bar pin, and these sit down lower, and I just don't like them. I mean, sometimes these will snap off or they'll rust off, or they get loose and they start slapping around making noise. But with this, also you have to keep in mind, if you do the bar pin eliminator, it does change the height of your shock absorber as well. But I hope this helps you guys out on installing a bar pin eliminator. And I'd say this would be pretty much straightforward for any bar pinned style shock absorber. If you're using a JKS kit, or maybe an alternative of the same design or same nature. But just like that, we have F250 rear sway bar links on a front of a 96 XJ. This will probably work out for any XJ, providing that you're going to be doing a 3-inch lift. So, kind of excited to see how it's going to look once we get the tire put back on and lower everything down onto it. All I have left right now is the lower control arm and track bar. That will be done on the front. So with these control arms, you're going to want to put the curved or the bend edge towards the axle. Alrighty, so I was able to get this lower control arm set in. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it, and then I'll be ready to put the tires on, and then I'll be working on the track bar. It is finally time to lower this beast down on its own. I have yet to hook up the track bar because I want to see where the axle is going to line up once I drop everybody down. Alrighty. Wow, that's definitely quite the difference compared to what it was before. I know I got to get the fender well back on, or fender flare, I mean. Don't mind the mess. Still the rear end of the Jeep put together here. Yeah, compared to how much space we had in the rear, we'll have in the rear, you know, about, I can barely get 4 fingers in there. That's what she said, but, you know, it's looking pretty good, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and just mock up the track bar on here for now until I get in alignment. But this is pretty much about one of the best ways to be able to set the track bar is to put the weight of the vehicle on it. Just make sure that you have your axle centered the best you can, and I was able to do that using jack stands earlier. I was able to manipulate everything, but I don't know, guys, what do you think? I think it's starting to look proper with the extra ground clearance now.